So I'm trying to write about what is organic and what is GMO, and then make a case for biotech on why they had to create the two different distinct differences, but they're manufactured. They're not really truly different because they're still working with the 120 elements with over 9 million elemental compounds or chemical compounds, or or what is it? Compound elements. So, what is organic? Because when I'm reading a label on a food, it says, "Oh yeah, organic." Well, what the hell does that mean, organic? Okay, so let's just look up the word organic, because I'm like, okay, what the heck? So, organic, relating to or derived from living matter. Living, these are synonyms: live, animate, biological, natural, biotic. So, of food or farming methods produced or involving production without the use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or other artificial agents. They say pesticide free, additive free, chemical free, non chemical, natural, relating to a bodily organ or organs, denoting a relation between elements of something such that they fit together harmoniously as necessary part of a whole. Okay, so then let's look at what GMO is. Okay, what is GMO, genetically modified? So GMO is a genetically modified organism in any organism whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering techniques, i.e. genetically engineered organism. A GMO or genetically modified organism is a plant, animal, microorganism, or other organisms whose genetic makeup has been modified in a laboratory using genetic engineering or transgenic technology. This creates a combination of plant, animal, bacteria, and virus genes that do not occur in nature or through traditional crossbreeding methods. Okay, so anyways, so those are the differences, right? So, okay, but we live in a world full of pathogens and bacteria, and we live in a world full of elements that are always going to be swirling around in your food supply, in your air, in your water, in the dirt. Okay, so you're not going to get away from GMO, because guess what? Humans are genetically modified. Humans are genetically modified. And so it doesn't matter if you eat organic or GMO, because no matter what, your body is going to recognize and look at all of your food and your exposure and will process it accordingly. So there is nothing wrong with GMO, because guess what? You breathe the air, you breathe freon, you breathe pollution. You can't get away from things that are negative because you have also a component of your elemental composition that's negative anyways. So you taking in a GMO type of product is really no different than taking in an organic product that may have negative elements in it that's going to alter you anyways if you have an imbalance no matter what. So something that's organic, you can have organic dandelion and have a GMO type of burger, but guess what's going to work against you is that dandelion root, because it's a heavy negative element that is so aggressive than that burger that would actually that organic dandelion root would actually do more harm to you. So the reason why and this is what I've now really understood as far as Monsanto and Eli Lilly and Bayer and all of those companies, is they're dealing with a very mutated population that doesn't understand that we only have 108 or 120 elements in our universe, 120 elements, and then 9 million compound elements. Okay, and so they think that when you say something is organic, it means that it's better for you. And it's like a very broad type of assumption, because organic doesn't really say anything, because you can have a live organism like a parasite, an organic parasite in your body work against you. You can have a genetically modified type of fruit that could work for you. So it's like the whole organic versus GMO is another political action community to make you feel like, that you are being acknowledged by the industry, because biotechnology is in everything that you do. When it comes to your computers, to your books, to your software, to your machines, to all of your appliances, to the chemicals that you use to do your jobs, to the plumbing, to prefabrication, to building houses, biotechnology has to be involved, because they have to see how these types of elements that you're using to do things like building, how it's going to impact biodiversity. So you can't get away from biotechnology. But you have a lot of ignorant people who think that, oh, I have all this cancer and disease from your products, when they don't really know, they don't really take into account that your cancer, disease, and chronic illness is because of you. You're the one that triggered all that, because you're the one that is not countering the negative elements. You're not repairing the mutations. Biotech can't eradicate the universe to fit your expectations. If you don't want to be hit by any negative elements, then I guess, your days will be numbered pretty soon. Your life on this earth will be pretty short, because the only way that you can totally get away from pathogens and chemicals and negative elements is if you actually passed away and died. And only your spirit is going to live. That's the only way that you will avoid all of the chemical compositions that are out there. So that's not your intention, I know. Or yeah, you can go on a rocket and go on another universe and deal with all of those elements, but then your body is not going to be able to synthesize correctly on Mars because of the high temperature, or on Mercury because it's so close to the sun. So your body has a role on this earth. And so, yes, so Monsanto and Bayer and Eli Lilly and Pfizer and Merck and GlaxoSmithKline and all of that, that's right, Gregory, they all have to deal with mutated people who make assumptions that want to feel like they're being heard. And they can't explain to people who are so bullheaded that want to listen to the conspiracy theorists out there. And they can't explain to them that, hey, hello, you only have 120 elements with 9 million compound elements to work with. There is nothing organic or GMO. It's just how it is that you manipulate something to have a specific outcome, but the elements are still the same. It's no different. You're still dealing with the same elements in organic versus GMO. It's just how it's being put together, and then how it affects you is based upon your knowledge. That's based upon your knowledge or lack thereof. So yeah, I mean, Christina says, also when it comes to buying organic label thinking you are getting away from chemicals, that label actually means nothing under regulations. Yeah, organic farmers are allowed to use certain types of poisons, because organic, there's certain pesticides, and they don't say all pesticides, they just says pesticides. So there's probably certain ones that they can't use or can use to then have it then mean organic. If you actually look at, like, because I know Target, they have organic food, but they still spray it down because the truckers go and take the organic foods from these different farming places, and they have to go and spray the food down so it can survive through transport. But hey, it's not that, remember, that's why the FDA is there, to make sure that it's not so detrimental that people die right on contact. You have a certain responsibility to be able to counter these elements. And if you're already so sensitive to the environment and so mutated, it's not the genetically modified or the vaccines or any of those things' fault. It's your fault. Because why don't I have celiac disease? I'm not going carb free. I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to eat gluten free. I knew that the whole gluten free industry was a bunch of BS, because I could eat I could eat carbs, and I could eat wheat, and I can eat gluten without dealing with celiac disease. But why does this person have celiac disease? And why does this? And so we were all speculating, thinking, oh yeah, it's the vaccines. They're putting the glyphosate in the vaccines. It's causing this, it's causing that. No. The reason why you're so sensitive to all the different things out there is because people are mutated and they want to lay blame on something. That's all it is. It's laying blame on someone or something. And I was not immune to it when I first rolled this out, because let me tell you, when someone had a specific event, because they were healing, they wanted to blame me because they felt they had a heart attack or a stroke. No, sorry, honey, you're so mutated. The body needed to heal. And yeah, you had to feel the pain. Oh no, but it's Jillian's fault. It's the salt's fault. The salt is a poison. No, if you understand science and the elemental composition of the human body, you need salt. But you need also the water, the electrolytes, the other compound elements to create electrolytes. Electrolytes are compound elements. Salt alone by itself with nothing else, yes, it's not good. Have you ever poured salt on a slug with no water, no nothing? Yeah, it disintegrates. But we're not just taking salt by itself. We're doing compound elements that are in the J juice. It's electrolytes. That's a compound element. And that is what comprises most of your body. And when people are sick and dying and they're dealing with emergency issues, guess what? When they go to the hospital, they get stabilized by compound elements. It's called the saline bags. Some people are so dehydrated, they have to go through like 8 or 9 saline bags in like 4 hours because they're that sick. Okay, so this whole thing with the organic and GMO, it's just the industry's way of acknowledging the uneducated masses that refuse to learn about science, and they can't teach every single person. So instead of trying to go to each individual person and force them to learn, which you can't legislate morals and you can't teach the unteachable. So what do? You be strategic in your marketing. And so, yeah, I know exactly. That's what I said yesterday. I know exactly how Monsanto feels and how Bayer feels. And if you can't see that, and there are people on my Facebook that still hate Monsanto, that still hate biotech, that want to feed into the conspiracy world, they're so mutated they don't even see it. Oh yeah, they say they love J-Juice, but believe me, they're not doing J-Juice. They do not do J-Juice. I know it. And I've tagged that one lady that is still playing in this whole like, oh, I hate Monsanto, I hate this, I hate that. I'm sorry, honey, but do you understand freaking chemistry? This is everything in the universe. Do you know the 9 million compound elements make up everything that we are and what we do? Okay, and so if you're violating the laws of your body, then yeah, you have 9 million ways to freaking die. And some of you are dealing with fibromyalgia, lupus. You know why? Because you are violating the laws of your body. You're taking drugs. You're not taking in the right elements. Yeah, Trish. Well, your son-in-law and your granddaughter both have celiac. You know why? Because that is a mutation that was never fixed, and it was passed down from parent to offspring. And you will see generational mutations, and you will see every generation, because we're having kids on mutated bodies. We are reproducing on mutated bodies, and that's why every generation has become worse and worse and worse. And this is why, Trish Sapak, why we have the vaccine schedule. This didn't create the issues. This is a reflection of humanity, and why it is that back in 1960s, we only had 3 or 4 vaccines, okay? And then 1980s, we now have like 5 or 6 or 7 vaccines. And then now 2019, we have more mutated children and more mutated adults that are warranting this, because we have people that are not taking care of themselves, okay? And then we have to then give them some kind of layer of protection. When someone's taking migraine medications, because we know someone that's taking migraine medications. We know someone mutually that has a mutation and they're dealing with migraines. And guess what? Somebody in the same world who has mutations has said, hey, yeah, take the migraine drugs, take all these shortcuts. And then guess what? Yeah, it may give them a certain state of execution, a certain relief for a minute because a body isn't adapting yet. But guess what? There's also side effects to all of these mutations, or to all of these drugs. And so, yes, not only are you going to see maybe a relief of your specific situation, but you're also going to have side effects, and eventually the body is going to adapt, and you're not going to have the relief anymore. It's going on a different drug, but now you've reaped the negative consequences because you violated the laws, and now you have all these other extra mutations from those migraine drugs or from whatever drugs that you're taking to deal with lupus, fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, you name it, and celiac. So you think that avoiding gluten is going to help you. You're going to paint yourself in a corner when you play the avoidance game. You cannot avoid pathogens, and you cannot prevent healing. And you think that going gluten-free is going to help you. No, but gluten-free is basically taking like other grains like rice and I don't know. I mean, other types like rice and oatmeal and other stuff, okay? And corn and whatever, and you think that you're going to replace the gluten with that. Oh no, sorry, hon, you already have a mutation. You also have excess yeast cells that are turning into candida. And so when you're feeding your body all this excess sugar types of stuff, so like rice and other types of gluten-free foods, it turns into sugar in your body. It feeds the candida, which then will turn into cancer, and it'll also alter your other mutations and make them worse. That's why all of you that are on these prescription medications and are on all of these different diets and holistic remedies are not getting better. Actually, you're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And you see it generationally. You see it generationally. So no, you will not fix your celiac by eliminating wheat. Sorry, but that's a mutation. Okay? That's a mutation. You're supposed to have yeast in your body, Gail. Okay? Yeast is part of your body. But when yeast gets out of control because people are not countering it with the right strategic elements, the right nutrition, it becomes then cancer. It's all about balance. The 3 things that kill you. Trish Sapak. This is for you, Trish. I'm glad you're listening to this. The 3 things that kill you. It's an overabundance of antibodies. It's an overabundance of candida /cancer /yeast. And it's an overabundance of hormones or hormonal imbalance. Okay? So this is why J-Juice is so revolutionary, because J-Juice will keep the balance of your cancer, candida, yeast. It'll keep the balance of your hormones and also keep your antibodies at bay. It won't over accumulate and then agglutinate and then turn into something different. This is why I get on people who, and I hope people like in Florida, people that I used to know in Florida, I hope they get this, but they probably won't. Okay, they probably won't. They're probably going to keep taking their prescription drugs and do the shortcuts. And then you're going to watch your friends out there in Florida degrade. You're going to watch them deal with the side effects. Right now, when you first take a drug, it seems like it's wonderful, but oh hey, like anything, you're going to pay the piper at some point. And so if you think that organic is any better than genetically modified, you are being snowed by, not because it's intentional, it's because you are now you're dealing with the same people who don't know any better, that want the industry to allay their fears and say, okay, well, we won't use this combination of compound elements. We'll use this combination of compound elements. It's the same thing repackaged, like aspartame turning into neotame. Okay? I mean, I have to go look and see, the chemical composition of aspartame and see how similar it is to neotame. Actually, let me do that right now. Google. All right, so chemical composition of aspartame or aspartame, whatever. So it's C14H1NH. Okay, so we have that. And then let's Google. All right, Google. Come on, Google, hurry up. Okay. Chemical composition of neotame. All right. So aspartame is C14H18N205. Neotame is C2OH30N205. So there's a few things. So they're giving you more atoms in the carbon. As far as the hydrogen, there's more atoms in the hydrogen. There's oxygen and then there's nitrogen. So there's 2 atoms in nitrogen, there's 2 atoms in nitrogen, and then 5 atoms in oxygen or whatever that is. So with extra atoms. So really the neotame is a lot more stronger than aspartame. And there's only a few atoms difference between the two. So how did they create a new name, right? So neotame, so aspartame, which is the old formula that people don't like back in the 80s, and said, oh yeah, it's a neurotoxin. Well, guess what? They made the neotame the same thing, but even stronger. Okay, that's the only difference between the two words, or between the two chemical compositions, is a few atoms difference. No different than, methane versus DNA methylation. It's relative to the intention, and then how they justify a new name is by changing some of the atoms, but it's still the same stuff. Okay, so this is why you don't worry about GMO versus organic. It's about you taking in the right elements to then disperse the right nutrients to all the different parts of your body that will then regulate your hormones, your antibodies, and your candida or your yeast, and then it will release anything excess. So it doesn't matter. I mean, no, you're not going to be eating paint thinner, okay? You're not like you're going to take paint thinner and think your body is going to just deal with it. No, you're going to take things that have been tested by the FDA that has been deemed safe, okay? That's palatable. It may have a certain amount of excess, like look at macaroni and cheese, Kraft macaroni and cheese in a box. Now, some will say that's genetically modified. Yeah, potentially. I ate a whole box of macaroni and cheese, and boy, was I in the bathroom not too long later. Okay? So if I'm going to eat something that is genetically modified, that had a bunch of excess chemicals that I really don't need, well, first, how much am I eating? If I know that it has a lot of excess chemicals that my body doesn't need, then maybe I only should eat like 1/4 of a cup and then drink a bunch of J juice. And then guess what? I'm fine. See, processed food is not bad for you. It's the amount that you're taking, and then what are you then offsetting the excess elements that your body doesn't need? So that's why processed food is not inherently bad. It's how much of you are you taking, and then have you fixed the mutations, for one, and then number two, what other elements, what other nutritive properties are you also dealing with that are taken in to counter and then fix the mutations? Because you can't get away from pathogens and you can't prevent healing. But processed food is not inherently bad. It's the amount. But those of you that are so mutated, that are dealing with autoimmune disorders, you need to eradicate the processed foods out of your diet temporarily. You need to eradicate the excess sugars temporarily and just stick with fruit sugar, potatoes, and whatever is on my diet, and the vegetables and the fruits and all that, and then my juice, until you fix the mutations. Once you fix the mutations, then you can eat whatever the fuck you want. You can eat whatever you want. That's the get out of jail free card, but you have to fix the mutations first. The more you play the avoidance game, the more you're putting yourself in a corner, your life's going to suck and you're going to die anyways. So if you're going to want to enjoy your life, fix the mutations so that way you could eat cake, you could drink coffee, you could eat gluten and gluten-free stuff if you want to. You can enjoy everything out there that the FDA has said that it was safe in the food supply. No, you're not going to be eating paint thinner. No, you're not going to be drinking paint. Nothing. Okay? You will be eating whatever you see out there at the restaurants that you want. So I won't eat a bunch of funnel cakes because it's not very appetizing to me. I'm not going to go eat a bunch of donuts. I can't even eat donuts. I mean, I could probably eat 1 or 2 donuts. That's about it. But at least you can eat the stuff, but then it's all about balance. Once you understand balance, you're not going to worry about avoiding gluten. Okay? So celiac disease has nothing to do with the glyphosate. It has nothing to do with the gluten. It has to do with the mutated people. And then we're procreated on mutated bodies. And so we're compounding the disease and the issues that we have. So every generation is more mutated, and then they're calling in for more shortcuts. Oh, I want a drug for this. I want a drug for that. I mean, there are people that are dealing with, like, again, with migraines. Why do they have migraines? Because they have mutations they're not fixing. And what do? Their friends who are mutated, just as mutated, if not more, are recommending, oh yeah, take this drug. You should take drugs. Do the drugs. And so they do the drugs, and then, oh God, yeah, they experience some kind of relief for a minute, but it's not going to last long, and the side effects are going to kick in at some point. Whenever you get on a drug, whatever it is, the side effects will kick in. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And so, yeah, when you're taking advice from people who are sick and mutated, guess what? They will end up sick and mutated, just like their person is recommending the stuff to them. Okay? That's why I say if somebody is elderly and aging and they are full of cancer disease and chronic illness, or they're obese, or they have all these issues, why would you take advice from them for health? Why would you do that? And PTSD is the same mutation that can get fixed. But yeah, why would you take health advice from somebody that's just as mutated as you, if not more? See, that's what I'm trying to point out without getting too personal and being like, catty about people. But I'm sorry, but if somebody that is so obese, so full of issues, and they're recommending to you all these different drugs or holistic supplements, do you really think that you should be taking advice from them? No, I don't think so. Thanks, Ellen. Hi, Ellen. That's why I got my daith pierced, because I took away. What's a daith pierced? Yeah, Trish, just because you took away migraines doesn't mean that you did it in the right direction. Okay? If you're not doing jade juice, Trish, all you're doing is manipulating your body to get a specific reaction. You're not helping your body because you're manipulating your hormones to then give you an anesthetizing type of approach. Because anytime that you do any kind of like aggressive event to your body, like piercing your body, or doing acupuncture, or doing any type of holistic type of stuff, you're not working in the right elements. You're actually causing more harm to you than you are good. Okay? Just because somebody beats cancer doesn't mean they're out of the woods. The whole thing with the Chris beat cancer, the I beat cancer, I beat leukemia, I beat lupus, I beat this, I beat that, with all of these different things. And guess what they're doing? They're playing whack-a-mole with their symptoms using antibiotics or hormones to then take away a symptom, but they have 200 other symptoms that they're dealing with at the moment. Just because you took away one symptom out of 200 doesn't mean shit. Okay? It doesn't mean anything. It just makes you feel like you won something. Oh yeah, I beat cancer. I won something, but I'll die tomorrow from leukemia. That's okay. But hey, their claim to fame is I beat cancer, I beat migraines, I beat leukemia. But oh yeah, they have like 500 more other mutations that they've never dealt with. And they still have to go and figure out. No, sorry, but you don't win anything when you beat one symptom out of like 200 or 300. You don't win anything at all. If anything, you're just laying another nail in your coffin, because you're now on you're accelerating the death process, because you're causing more of an imbalance in your system. Because the three things that will kill you as well as keep you alive are hormones, candida, cancer, yeast, and then antibodies. Okay? And so so sometimes it will take hormones to go and then break up or make you feel like the whole thing with THC. Okay, that's manipulating your endocrine system, and it's still an antibody, so it's chipping away at the mutations, and then they're releasing like oxytocin and other types of dopamine and anesthetizing agents that will make you feel like you're feeling better, but no, you're just utilizing your hormones and bringing them to surface. And those are your stress hormones. When you're exercising so much, stress hormones, you're depleting your body, and you see it in your body because you're not getting better. You're not reversing major conditions. You're just anesthetizing yourself. You're hiding the mutations. You're anesthetizing yourself. That's what you're doing. Gail. So hopefully, Trish, I hope that, I know you're listening. I hope you look at J-Juice. I really do. And you may not, but it takes one person in Florida to make a change. It takes one person in that circle of people to be the example. It just takes one person. And if you don't want to be that one person, then this possibility dies with you. It already died with them because they're going to go down that trajectory. They're going to take all their pills, their powders, their supplements, their prescription drugs, the acupuncture. They'll go through the whole gamut until they pass away. And then that gets passed on to then the next generation who's already having children and are already dealing with issues. They're already dealing with issues. And the child's going to have issues. And guess what? They're going to learn from the parents to take a drug, to take a holistic supplement, and do all this stuff. And then guess what? Then each generation have a shorter and shorter life cycle. So it just takes one person to make a difference in every circle of people. And if you don't want to be that person, then hey, then that's fine. That's your choice. But people are going to procreate. But I don't mind procreation as long as you're doing it responsibly and that you can give your offspring a major awesome foundation. If not, then what's the point? Why would you create a kid that's going to have problems in our society, especially with the way these pathogens are mutating at such an accelerated rate? I mean, the vaccine schedule alone should be like a red flag. It's not because the CDC is doing it. They're not trying to kill you. This is a reflection of humanity sticking their head in the sand. I mean, when you have 24 different strains of the measles, it's because the measles mutated so many times that they only have recorded 24 strains for vaccines, but there's probably like thousands and thousands of strains of measles out there. If you truly want to help humanity and fix yourself, stop with the mutations. It'll stop then warranting the vaccine schedule and warranting all of these holistic supplements and warranting all of these allopathic immunotherapies and stop warranting all of these shortcuts and poisons. Okay? So, you know, this is so important. That's why I keep my circle very tight. This is why I go on every single freaking day. Because it just takes one person. You got to get my book, Trish. Go to jillyjuice.com, JILLYJUICE.com. There's a link that says, you know, that it's a Lulu link, Lulu Publications, and there's two options. I have one book right now that's two options, an ebook, okay, and then a paperback book, and it's a recipe. And if you have questions, you then send us an email. The email is on my website. You send us an email with the receipt. We'll give you a login and password, and you can ask unlimited questions in that website. Okay? And so I have a moderator, Lillian. She's amazing. If you have any specific questions, you can email her. And I see the emails too. And if you have questions you want to ask the community, Trish, okay, you can ask them and pose them. You can email me really quick. Since I know you personally, Trish, I don't mind talking to you for a minute to kind of give you the lowdown. But ultimately, Trish, this is something that you're going to have to understand on your own in a lot of ways. Okay? Because you're going to have to deal with the pain. You're going to have to deal with how this is going to fit into your life working with dogs and all this other stuff. How are your people in your world going to understand what you're going through? So it means that you really have to read the book. Okay? And the book gives you the recipe and also gives you some of the science behind some of the claims that I've been making. And then you can ask the questions. And then I have another book coming out probably in a couple of months that will give you a lot more detail. So that way, those that are really, really detailed want to see exactly and all the other revelations, then I can, then you can get that. But at least, give yourself, just get the book, get the paperback book or get the ebook, whatever is easiest for you. And then send us a receipt. We'll give you a login and password. You can go figure out how to work my WordPress site because it's an anonymous forum that you don't want to put any kind of information that people can know who you are because it's anonymous. You have privacy. And so you can ask whatever questions you want. Okay? But here's the thing. You want to live, Trish. You want people around you to be, because if you're doing the J juice and you're the only one that's prolonging your life and everyone's dying around you and you're the only one left in your circle of people, it gets lonely. Right now, I think about, I hope that my husband gets on this, okay? Or at least a little bit as far as like him mixing it with smoothies. But when you're outlasting all of your friends and family who only have maybe about 50 or 60s lifespan, you're going to be on this earth almost by yourself unless you get somebody else in your world doing this that's going to hang out with you. When you're outliving all of your kids, if they don't do this, they'll do it if you do it. Because they'll see like, wow, man, Mama Sapak, she looks amazing. She looks like she did when she was 30. Holy crap. Okay, but you got to go through it sucks. You got to go through the pain. You'll be seeing parasites come out of your butt. You may see skin conditions. You'll see an exacerbation in your chronic condition that you're dealing with right now. You're going to see a lot, and you can't get alarmed because it's part of the healing process. Pain is healing. We have been taught in our society that we have to mitigate pain and stop pain. But we understand that sometimes pain gets in the way of your daily life, so you have to manage it in some way, but you don't want to stop the pain automatically with negative elements like anti-inflammatories unless you are doing J juice at the same time. But you want to do more J juice than the painkillers. Because we know you have to balance out your daily stuff. You got to go to work, you got to drive, you got to do all these things. But take inventory, Trish, okay? Take inventory of all the issues you've ever dealt with. Like write down on paper every single issue that you have. And then try to remember what happened in the past, any issues, any drug problems, any issues that you've dealt with in the past. Write those down. What's going on in the present. And then things that you've never really dealt with that you may come up against with the J juice, that's future triggers. What are the future triggers? It's those antibodies in your body that are agglutinating that are now finally coming to surface. So let's say you never had any heart issues, but yet you're feeling like heart palpitations, heart flutters. That could have potentially been what you would have died from because it's a weakness that didn't come to surface yet. But if you stay on the path that you're staying on right now, Trish, you could potentially trigger a heart attack. You could potentially trigger a stroke or an aneurysm because you don't know what weaknesses you have already. Okay? And so this is why when you do the J juice, it's going to proactively deal with past, present, and future triggers. But you have to understand you're working in the right context. You're working with positive elements that have trace minerals, which are negative elements as well. But remember, you have a positive and negative elemental composition to your body. Okay? So you just got to know that everything that happens while on the protocol is natural. It's to be expected. It's not going to hurt you. But if the pain gets too much, then just pull back on the juice. Just give yourself a break. But you have to drink enough of it to get the waterfalls, because when you're pushing out the crap out of your body, you're releasing pathogens, you're releasing parasites, you're releasing fungus, you're releasing so much stuff out of your body. And then you're also allowing the body to then regenerate, because you're utilizing the nutrients that are in the cabbage and kale. Because what it is you're breaking it down. You're breaking down the cabbage and kale. It's nutrition. Okay, so when you're doing fermentation, you're breaking down these cruciferous vegetables to where it's bioavailable. You have access to the nutrients. You try to eat right now kale and cabbage right now on your mutated body, you will not be able to access those nutrients at the level that you should to then see the healing. Okay, so you really have to understand that, when you get waterfalls, you have to carve out time of your day to be able to be next to a bathroom for the next 3 or 4 hours relative to how much you're taking. Start off slow. Try to drink like a quart to see if you can get waterfalls. You'll be on the toilet and you'll be looking at your poo and like, what is this worm? What is this parasite? Oh my God. People have expelled some really nasty shit out of their butt because that's what's causing their mutations, it's causing their chronic illness, is some of these parasites. Okay, then you got to fix the mutations. Okay, so it's going to be a journey. It's not going to be fun, but if you just figure out a good balance of where you work during the week, you stay on the diet relatively okay, and on the weekends you then go hit it hard. But see, if you don't do water, if you drink a little bit but don't get waterfalls, you'll feel constipation. You'll feel the pressure. So you got to be able to do enough where you get waterfalls, because if you only do a little bit, what's going to happen is the candida and the parasites fight back, hold on to your poop. So you have to then bring in the reinforcements. That's the J juice. Okay, that's the J juice. It's going to release and it's going to feel great. It's going to kind of suck too. Your ass is going to be burning sometimes because you're releasing pathogens out of your ass. You may have hemorrhoids come up. You may have yeast infections come up. You may have bladder infections that may come up. You just do the juice, put it in your belly button. That's what the book is there for, is to help you figure out how to deal with the healing symptoms and manage them. Okay? So, so Trish, this is going to be a journey, but it's going to be worth it. It's just up to you how much you want to deal with. You don't have to do this, but this could potentially prolong your life. But if you don't do J juice, then your life is going to be predictable. Look at your parents. Look at your grandparents. We don't have to die. We are dying in our society because we've been violating the laws. We're aging and we have cancer, disease, and chronic illness because we've been violating the laws of our body. No different than when you violate the laws in your community. When you speed in a 90-mile-an-hour or 30-mile-an-hour zone, 90 miles, guess what? You go to jail. Reckless op, or you get a ticket, or you pay money. Okay? So this is why we die, is because we keep violating the laws of our body. And we shouldn't die. Humans are supposed to adapt to their environment. That's what the innate immune system is, and that's what the adaptive immune system is for. Okay? The innate is letting you know that you have a blueprint of the body and that you have certain types of hormones that will allow you to disassemble mutated cells and then regenerate new cells. So you're not carrying mutations, being the walking mutant all over town. Okay? So we have a very complex system that has specific laws, and if we keep violating those laws, guess what? Mutations happen, and then all the different remedies out there, because people's ignorance, they deal with poisons. The allopathic and the holistic deal with poisons. And this is what causes so many more mutations that compound each other and compound each other and compound until then we start seeing people who only live to be 30 or 40, and that's it. Or as soon as they're out of the gate, they contract some juvenile Alzheimer's, juvenile diabetes, they have Down syndrome, or who knows what else. Okay, and they're mainstreaming it. They're making it seem like it's normal. Oh yeah, live with autism, live with Down syndrome. Embrace it. Okay, fine, yeah. I mean, sometimes you can't get people who are grown with Down syndrome to reverse it. So yeah, you have to embrace it. But if you have the knowledge now, use it. And so really, Trish and Gail and Ellen and all of you guys are very, very important in your own personal, community. You can change the world that you live in, but you got to be the one to be the leader. Okay? And if you're up to being a leader and you're up to really changing your world that you live in, and it's going to take some work, then do the J juice. Figure out a good system, figure out a routine that's manageable for you. Okay, not everybody can do J juice every single day and do waterfalls every single day. That's fine. At least do waterfalls at least once or twice a week on the weekends, on your time off. And then try to keep with the diet. Maybe you don't do J juice every day, but then wait for your time off. Do a gallon or 3/4 gallon, or try to get waterfalls. And then up your levels as you start seeing yourself plateau. Because sometimes you will do only a quart a day for like a month, and then you start then not seeing any more symptoms, because symptoms equals healing. So then you have to then up the dosages. Instead of a quart, now you got to do a quart and a half if you're doing it every day. But if you're not doing it every day, you just do it on the weekends, and you just get waterfalls on the weekends, but you don't see any more healing, then you got to up your dosages. So instead of doing like a quart or to get waterfalls, maybe you do 2 quarts to get waterfalls. And that's why you do it so fast, because that way you don't have to think about it. So you do as much as you can in a short amount of time, get the waterfalls, and then just try to, you know, and it's difficult. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. And I said that if the smell is that egregious to you in the beginning, then mix it with fruit juice, with like a smoothie that you made yourself. But then really work on having the intention to do it in the most concentrated form so you get the best benefit. So you can see healing immediately. You're not waiting for the results in like 2 years, because you can only do 50-50 of half fruit smoothie and half J juice. You really want to see the results. Once you get a taste of the results, you're not going to want to ever go back to where you were before. You really are not going to want to go back to where you were before if you really see the results. Okay? So, you know, I bequeath this to you, Trish. You be that leader in Florida. Florida needs it. At least North Florida does anyways. And then everybody else, you guys, you know, also be pioneers. And then we'll just go from there. Okay? Thanks. Bye.